What's up, guys? I don't even know what day it is. Pretty messed up right now because I don't think I've slept really. But it's the end of September. Today we're gonna be hiking Longs Peak. For a full hike review of Longs Peak, you can check the link below. So the plan is to head up the Loft first and come down the Keyhole. So should be about 15-16 miles round trip, maybe a little more if we tag Meeker. The reason we're here so god awful early is because this lot is pretty small and it's very popular, so it fills up quick. So yeah, we'll check in once the sun rises, which is in 4 hours. A little over 3 miles in, and the signs are hard to read, but the Keyhole route, you're gonna take a right here, so you'd follow the boulder field arrow. But for us, we're gonna take a left here and go towards Chasm Lake, which is the Loft. There's also a bathroom up here. Okay, so far, the trail's been really easy to follow. It's just like a steady elevation gain. It's in good shape. So yeah, there's not really a need to show you that part. It's pretty straightforward. Like a zombie. Try to get some sleep. You know, like went to bed at 8 o'clock. Tried to at least. Woke up like 11:30, so not quality sleep at all. I'm just struggle bus. Haven't felt like this since the night before I was summiting Kilimanjaro. After a terrible hour or so, hunkered down in a rock to kill some time, we can finally show you a bit of views. So Chasm Lake is like literally right here. Longs Summit is right there. So we're taking the Loft, as I said earlier, and so we're gonna round this corner and head up that way. Alright, so here's a look back at where we came from. The trail's hard to make out, but it's like right there. And then just over that side. It's really windy today, but we can at least show you where we're at. And then we're gonna keep going up this way towards the ridge. A little bit farther up, wind has died down a tiny bit. It's still awful, but yeah, this is basically our route all the way up and out. This is going to be class 3 and looks like very slabby, so hopefully you shouldn't have any issues with rockfall or grip or anything like that. Super windy, and I think it's only going to get worse as we get higher. The trail is still really easy to follow. It's kind of like a rock field now, but it's still, I mean, not terrible and pretty straightforward. So we're just plugging away and working our way up. Here, quick before the wind picks up, you're gonna go this way and then out over this white ice and then out that way. Okay, this is like a little chimney you're looking for. Whew, it is windy. Okay, so we're getting near the base of these waterfalls. Really just like frozen water on the rock. So I showed you the exit out this way. You actually want to exit out this way today, at least. You can, when it's drier, go straight up this, but leftover snow, fuck you, wind. What I was saying is that when there's not as much ice and snow, you can just go straight up, but we're not really, with the wind being the way it is, we're not trying to screw around with it today, so taking the conservative way to the top. Summit of Long's Peak is right there. So we kind of came from down in here, worked up, and then across. And then, like I said before, you'll get this flat area. Alright, obviously the lack of the end of this video, we didn't make it to the summit, and I wasn't really sure if I was going to release this or not, but I thought it was important to, for a couple of reasons. Number one, you know, mountains are not there to be conquered every time. Someone on my Instagram recently said they'd win, there'd be no competition, so I thought that was a good point. But also just Long's Peak really has a reputation of being super windy. And as you can see by the end of the video, we were having some route finding issues on that football field flat section, and we ended up ascending too high. And when I was pointing to wrap around, that's where we were trying to go, but we were too high up. So we needed to almost kind of get right into the field and then go left instead of making any kind of elevation gain. And that's ultimately what threw us off the path. It's hard to tell in the video. You can tell it's windy, but the wind was so strong, and obviously I wasn't filming this, that it was blowing us down when we were trying to move. And so we really didn't feel safe, and the terrain was such that there's a lot of loose rock and the gravel, and so you kind of lose your footing, and it was just really a bad situation. And we sat there for a solid 5 minutes kind of talking about it, trying to find the route, trying to decide if we're going to keep going. And ultimately I was the one who kind of started the conversation of we need to turn around. And I'm very stubborn, I'm very persistent, and obviously it was my last 14er, so out of anyone in the group I had the most you know, kind of pride and everything else to keep going. But it just didn't feel safe. So we made a decision to turn around, and it sucks. It's never a fun one, especially whether it's your first 14er or your last. It's always hard, but it's the right one to make, and I'm grateful for Nick and Rick for both kind of agreeing with that. So anyway, the Loft is it was a fun route, and I think what I've read afterwards is that it can be very windy, especially on that side, because of the way that plane almost acts as like a jet stream from all the wind coming from the west. And because Long's Peak is so prominent, it's just really always pretty windy up there. And I mentioned this on my Instagram, but I really was kind of taking Long's Peak not serious enough, and didn't do enough research on weather patterns on the route, and was using it as a victory lap, and that's really arrogant. And next time, whether it be Long's Peak or whatever else, I'm definitely gonna have a little bit better of a mentality. One last thing I'll note, I don't know if anyone will pick this up, but when I mentioned we had to kind of camp under a rock, so we got to Chasm Lake at like 4 a.m. and so we had so much time to kill that we ended up before the sun came up, so we ended up hunkering down in this little rock area, and I was so cold and shivering, and all of us were, that I ended up taking up an e-blanket and kind of putting it on as an extra layer. So you'll see some silver maybe hanging out from underneath my jacket, and that's why. But again, just not being prepared with enough layers, which is really kind of against what I usually do. But everybody has those days where you think you kind of know enough, and you think you know your body well enough, and nature just says, right here, buddy. And that's how it always goes. So hope you enjoyed the video anyway. We'll definitely be making another attempt at Long soon, hopefully. And please subscribe not to miss any future hike videos. I'll always be honest on the ones I summit, and on the ones that I don't and feel like it's worth uploading. I'll be here to kind of be that transparent voice for you all. So thanks for watching, and hopefully see you again on Long's Peak soon.